Assalamu alaikum everyone. So today is Wednesday, and in an attempt to continue striving towards being consistent, because the only thing that I've been consistent at is being inconsistent, and that's something I'm really working to change. On Wednesdays, it is my intention, inshallah, to produce videos that are more so related to engaging listeners and creating a conversation. I really wanted it to be a conversation between myself and the viewers, but I also realized that one thing that's highly needed is for us as people to have conversations with ourselves. And so one of the greatest ways that I know to engage yourself in a conversation is through writing. So Wednesdays are going to be Write It Out Wednesdays, and so I'll be sharing some journal prompts or some of my journal writing, and asking for you all if you feel comfortable to share some of your writing with me, with us. And then also in the future, very soon, I'm launching a Quora. I think I said it right. Quora, Quora page, and it will be a subscription page so that we can have more interactive sessions, and it be more of a thing where, like, for persons who contact me asking advice, and I'm not trying to act like I'm the authority of anything, but for persons who contact me asking for advice, then this will be a place that you can do so, and you have access. I'm just trying to set boundaries so that I'm not overdoing it, and yeah, and I'm trying to capitalize too. Have to be honest. So yeah, so one of the things that I started last year at the beginning of January, which is the new year for many people, I started journaling, and then in typical cupcake fashion, I was not consistent, and as soon as things kind of got rough and rocky for me, I stopped journaling. But one thing that I do consistently is I voice record. So for me, what's very important is for me to just get the emotions out, get the thoughts out. Very seldom do I go back and listen to my actual voice recordings, but I know that I've dropped some gems while having that conversation with myself and God, because He's the listener of all things. He hears all things, and so I do need to go back and listen. I need to drink this tea. I do not have the coronavirus. But mucus buildup. That's why I'm working on my nutrition and diet right now. But I do need to go back and listen to those things, because the beauty of journaling or doing some form of capturing your thoughts, your emotions, is that you can go back, read or listen, and then you have a point of reference as to what you were going through and how you process those feelings, thoughts, and emotions. And then it usually helps you to move forward with much more insight into yourself. If you're not paying attention to yourself, patterns of behaviors or even patterns of tests and trials that you're going through, you are just going to keep repeating it because you're not aware enough of what it is that you're supposed to be learning. You're not aware enough of how you respond to certain situations, and chances are you're going to keep responding in a way that produces the same test and trial over and over and over again, and there's not going to be any elevation. So for me, I've started picking up on patterns of behaviors within myself. I know that I struggle a lot with emotional intelligence. For the reason being is that I am over analytical. Like, I'm super duper over analytical, and I oftentimes just get caught up in just thinking and ruminating over something over and over and over again. So I've come to realize that I have obsessive compulsive situations and behaviors. So I'll just kind of like obsess over something, obsess, And I was watching a video one time before, and the lady was talking about people having anxiety and them kind of getting into this anxious loop, and they're anxious about the fact that they're anxious about the fact that they're being anxious, and it just creates that whole like cycle. And I'm working on myself so that I can get out of that, because I'm definitely one of those people. But journaling helps, prayer helps, and these are things that help me. And so I wanted to share that. So Wednesdays are going to be write about it Wednesdays, or write it out Wednesdays, and I'll be sharing some journal prompts and things of that nature on Wednesdays, sharing some of my own writings. Some people know me from before. I also was a creative writer, poetry and spoken word person. So yeah, I don't know when I'll be back writing. I have been inspired to write a few poems recently, but a thing about me, I gotta be like the Mary J. Blige of poetry, bro. Like, y'all know how Mary do. Like, Mary be hurt, her and Adele, like, they be hurt, they be hits, real life hits. Mary get a little happy, you know, we be rocking with the happy Mary too, we really do. Like, I was feeling the just fine. Ooh, I was feeling it, but you know, it's something else about, you know, her other songs that, you know, I'm not gonna cry, like, those songs just hit different because we've been conditioned to appreciate other people sharing their pain with us, because most of us experience pain. A lot of us haven't been experiencing happiness and things of that nature, or we don't even know how to recognize when we're happy. We don't know how to recognize when we're content, so usually we don't really even relate to a lot of those happier things. So I had somebody tell me one time that they didn't see the same level of joy, zeal, excitement in me that they had saw before, and I was like, that's because I'm in submission. And they was just, you know, I think it kind of went over their head. I don't know, or it just didn't resonate with them at that time. It probably wasn't meant to resonate with them at that time. But people in different stages, like, how they experience happiness is going to look differently. How they experience pain and grief and trauma and joy and excitement and anticipation and whatever it might be, it's going to look differently. And so journaling, voice recording, having some type of medium to capture, you know, video blogging, whatever it might be, capture yourself having those moments, allowing yourself to lean into those things for the purpose of learning yourself. That really, really helps. So I have a journal entry from last year that I want to share, because something that I've struggled with is figuring out what I really want. Yes? You got headphones? Yes. Yes. So something that I struggled with was simply figuring out what I wanted. And I think that was a major cause of my anxiety, is because it's hard for me to reconcile what I want versus what I've been programmed to want. And what I want is very different than what society promotes for us to want. What I want is even differently than what my parents have even wanted for me. And that was kind of hard, you know, shifting and changing and becoming my own person, and realizing that I'm trying to define myself and not necessarily define my parents. That has been a difficult journey, but nonetheless, I'm on it for the sake of pleasing Allah, for the sake of pleasing God. So, one of my prompts, it says, what do you firmly believe you are deserving of? And the question was, what do you want? What do you have a burning desire for? And my plain simple thing, like notation, was for me to just focus on what I want and realize that these things will be something that you are not lukewarm about. And so, like, that burning desire, and I was reading the book The Secret, and it talks a lot about that, you know, that language of a burning desire. And so I've struggled with worthiness, actually believing and even wanting to pursue something because I wholeheartedly could recognize that I deserved it. Like, I struggled with worthiness, and I did not think that I deserved certain things. Me, like I said, being over analytical at times, I would focus on other people and be like, oh, so and so has XYZ or whatever, and you know, like if there's people out here living without XYZ, you don't need da 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 da. And I will kind of like talk myself out of things that I know like it was coming to me, and I was trying to deprive and deny myself of it because I'm used to living in a state of lack. So you have to work, like I said, have these conversations with yourself, find out why you are the way that you are, so that you can work beyond that. But I'm smiling because I'm starting to know who I am and what I want, and that's a very beautiful place to be in. So another note that I said was these things will be within your outline, boundaries, and conditions. You should be specific about your boundaries, your desires, and make sure that they're not negative limits. So when I say that, you know, even that should be stated positive. So there are some people who have to like have everything stated positively. Oh, I'm laughing because I'm one of those people. And I have in the past like tried to correct the language that other people use. I've policed the language that other people use unconsciously. And it wasn't that I was trying to police the language that they were using. It was the fact that I needed to hear things framed in a more positive way. So when I say make sure that these things are specific and that they come in alignment with your boundaries and desires, and that they're not negative limits, I mean like stating things in a positive way. So instead of always saying I don't want this, I don't want that, you're going to affirm what you do want. And it is necessary to know what you don't want. Yes, and it is necessary to even negate those things and say it. But sometimes we need to practice saying things in a much more positive way. At least I did. But not being overly optimistic while being realistic. That's the way of saying that, even positively. All right, so here it is. These are my desires. Number one, to be a pious Muslim wife and mother, like to be an effective worshiper of Allah who delights in submission in worship. 2, I want to be modest in my living, not excessive, wasteful, or flashy. I want to own a nice home and have my own land, to actually be able to live sustainably off the land. That's one of my desires. I enjoy recycling. I want to be able to grow my own food and actually eat my own food, which I realize is a lot of planning. It's a lot of work, and yeah. I also realized it would be extremely rewarding. Yeah, so I also want to live near water and have like a pond or something on my own, like on the land, or live near a river or something like that. And I want to have like rain catchers, those big barrels. I want to be able to build and transfer generational wealth, but that's not just tangible. Like, a lot of people fail to realize that generational wealth is beyond just passing things down to your children. Like, what real ideals, what real morals are you able to help enrich your children's lives with? And that's something that I definitely am passionate about, that I really want. I want to have a means to travel and see Allah's creation. I want to be able to experience different, things and see how, like, the diversity of, amongst Allah's creation. I want meaningful moments and memories with my loved ones. I want peace, joy, contentment, patience, resilience, excellent communication between myself and those whom I love and those who love me. And that's just a short list, because I definitely got a whole page, and I'm not even about to read it all. But like, now journaling, I read this a whole year later, and I'm like, yo, these are still my same desires. And then I'm also checking and looking like, well, what are we doing daily to get closer to that? And so that's really what Wednesdays are going to be about. I'm getting close to the 15-minute mark. I'm not trying to be doing no super hour-long videos and everything like that. So yeah, I would love for you all to share what your burning desires are, what it is that you want. What do you firmly believe that you are deserving of? Do you journal? If you do, would you be willing to share some of your journal entries with us? we would love to hear back from you about your experience and your comments and everything like that. My baby's calling me. Peace and blessings, everyone. And the greatest of blessings is God's guidance. And piece of cake living, piece of cake life, learning information from experience. So share it with us.